Hi, this is Luke Smith, and I've been thinking about creating this kind of content for a while. It's a stream, it's a live stream, and I've got a passion for real estate, and I love researching real estate, and I love systematic approaches to figuring out real estate, getting creative on deal structures, and just lots of things real estate. And so I've created YouTube shows in the past, and I enjoyed that thoroughly, and the interactions and people I got to work with. And in the past, it was a lot about rural vacant land, and I'd like to do a lot more about commercial land and commercial properties, commercial deals. And that's what this show is. This is a test. I'm testing lots of different things. And but I hope and I wish and I believe I can make a show like this into the future that is about commercial real estate, because there's so much to learn. There's so much for me to learn, and I think you guys can help by asking questions and trying to get to the bottom of things. And I love talking to the brokers and the buyers, the sellers, the franchisees, the corporate sides, lots of these deals, finding tenants, finding deals to put tenants into, finding properties that people could build on, lots of the different moves and plays that we could have, putting them into auctions, different auctions for different plays, learning lots of different ways to make deals in commercial real estate. I'm very new. I'm very novice. I'm just a little guy, the fly on the wall, if you will, trying to learn. And I think this is a way we can all learn together. So if you're interested, please join and watch these videos. Probably nobody watching yet, but in the future recorded versions, you could chime in and go for it. And if you're watching live, feel free to hit the comments and ask questions. Okay, so I've got a bunch of screens here. I'm trying to keep track of everything. And so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to pull up properties like this one that we've got in the background. So I think it's a Wendy's. This is a drive-through property. And I love these kinds of properties because looking at vacant land, I'd send out letters and I'd get all kinds of different land back. I'd make cash offers for your land, and people would get back to me and say, no way, no how, and other people will say, how fast can you give me the money? And so I buy these properties and go figure them out, go make them happen. Some of the ones that have sold the fastest for the biggest dollar spreads have been high traffic retail properties. And so like this picture in the background, this is like, I'm guessing a 1 acre-ish high traffic retail property. You've got a street in the front, you've got 2 lanes going each direction with turning lanes. That's high traffic. 3 lanes would be even better, right? 4 lanes, you're probably talking about medians and stuff, and it's harder for people to turn. But these kinds of properties, I think, are fun because you can do statistics on them. And in today's market, there's a lot of ways to do statistics. There's a lot of data sets. There's a lot of angles that we can play with and go after and get to understand these properties. When we have lots of homogeneous properties, we can look at some variables that might be better, like more traffic on this one versus more traffic on that one. People with more money driving by more often on that one versus the one over here with not as much money. And how much can you sell on this property versus that property? The math to figure that out. Where do you get the data? How do you make that dance? How do you use that to make a sales pitch? I've got one light here that's kind of flickering. Let's see if I can stop it from flickering, or maybe I don't have enough power for all the different things that are going, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so feel free to hit the comments if you are interested. I have so many screens and things open, I don't know where to start. And so one of my passions that I've created over time is this database. And I'm not ready to put the database on the screen yet, but I've got the database on one particular screen in front of me. And one of the pieces of data that I've been running is, with the help of others, is what I call a QSR score. And to me, this QSR score is like this property in the background. This is a quick service restaurant. I think it's a Wendy's, and you got to drive in, drive through, get your food, get out of there, right? So what's a QSR score have to do with one of these? I'm targeting these. I'm going after these kinds of assets because they're homogeneous, because we can do statistics on them, because we can do statistics on them. We can measure the statistics and we can start comparing properties, apples versus apples, a lot more than apples versus oranges. And so I dreamt up this score, and I'm sure it's not perfect. It's just something I thought it would make it easier to sort and slice and dice these properties. And the score comes off of studying cell phone traffic to the neighboring properties. Let's say we got this Wendy's in the background or some empty thing like that, hopefully, is what we'll come up with today. And in the area, a bunch of other, McDonald's and Burger Kings and whoever, Arby's or something, might be doing like 25% business. So what do you mean by 25%? 25% is, Tom's chiming in. Hi, Tom. Land Addiction. Thanks for coming in and watching this video. So 25% of cell phone traffic on one of these properties is, when you look at let's use Wendy's, this one in the background, for example. If you looked at all the Wendy's across the country, how many people go to visit that property? Well, first, how do you count them? I'm not going to go count them, but we can get data on their cell phones. You carry your phone around and maybe you watch TikTok, or maybe you use Google Maps or something that has a location of where your phone is going like all the time. And that gets reported back to people like me that can look at the location of where your phone is, how much time it spends there, and what stores you're going to buy your food at, right? And so you pay for that data, and it costs a lot of money, but you get your hands on that stuff, you can start comparing these shops back and forth. And so 25% ranking on one of these shops might be the level of people that are going to that store. 75% of the Wendy's get more traffic than a 25%, and 24% of the properties get less traffic. Now, if you look at the shops next door, I like to look at data and compare these things. So I started to notice when there's a 25% store, there's probably a 30 and a 20 and a 32 and maybe there's a 45 percentile or something up and down the same retail corridor. But they're all kind of ish around the same kind of tipping point of quality of how much business they're doing out of those locations. And then you go look at another retail corridor. Let's put this Wendy's in another town. Maybe the town has more people, or it has more money, or more traffic, or some other variable is going off. Maybe it's next to the mall. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. And you look at the shop next door and it's 75 percentile. And you look at the one up the street and it's a 76, and it's a 82, and it's a 71. I'm guessing you can rent those buildings for more money. If the market knows what it's doing, it ought to charge more for those buildings. I think if it knows what it's doing is never really true, because there's so much information in this market, and there's so many different things that customize these properties, that I learned that a lot sending out letters for vacant land. This 5 acres is the same as this 5 acres. Yeah, right. This seller is the same as that seller. Yeah, right. If you got enough of them and you make a low, stupid enough offer, some of them are going to take it and most of them aren't. Where's that offer? Like, how many of them got back to you and took it? Is it 5%? You probably offered too much. Is it 1%? You're probably just right. Is it 0.5%? You probably offered too little. Like, there's always statistics in these kinds of plays, right? And so applying those kinds of ideas to these kinds of properties that I've got in the background, like high traffic retail, I just thought would be a lot of fun. And so here we are. And we're talking about this score I came up with called QSR score. And so the QSR score is a measurement of the level of activity in the area. And so I just made a basic, if it's above a 75 percentile shop, then it gets a 1. And if it's above a 95 percentile shop, it gets a 2. And if it's above a 99 percentile, or 99 above or whatever, it gets a 3. And so that's just like check marks. Like, I'm going down the list, tally, tally, tally. And I just tally them up as I look around the neighborhood. And when you got a whole bunch of those tallies, you got a really high QSR score. So it's measuring that there's lots of shops that are doing lots of business, and they're doing really well, a whole lot of good business in the area compared to lots of the other retail stuff that spread across America. And to me, that seems like that would be a pretty neat place to own one of these QSR shops. You could probably charge primo rent, and you probably get it like really fast. And that's what I'm thinking. But in reality, a lot of people don't look at that same kind of way that I do So it's my job to promote it and sell them on it and show it to them and take advantage of the other people who don't know that, or educate them too, or whatever. Discrepancies in the data is the point here, right? And so there's always two sides, good, bad, whatever. So, okay, let's get down to it. I got this database pulled up, and for whatever reason, there's like a 96 seems to be the highest one in the queue right now. I got 156 properties in here. They got that ran the score on, and I haven't looked. I don't think I've looked at any of these. So this is going to be kind of like Christmas, opening the packages and let's see what's there. And I like doing this on a pretty frequent basis, and so I'm gonna try to do it live. And feel free to ask questions, and I'm gonna kind of go through what I'm looking at and why and how, and I'm going to leave notes for myself and try to progress these things into buying them, or not buying them, or learning from them, or asking questions. And I hope to, like tomorrow or later in the week or next week or something, as I can. And it's phone hours. This is Sunday. It's not phone hours. I hope to bring some of these sellers on the phone live in the YouTube live, and we hash out some deals. We work on some deals, and we do some deals, right? And then after that, I would like to, as we get some of these high traffic retail properties like this Wendy's kind of thing that's in the background, then I want to work on getting a tenant. And I want to go through the process of getting tenant for that building. I want to do it on the YouTube live like this format, with people asking questions if they do or not, whatever. But it's what I want to work on anyway. And I think some people might watch this stuff and get some learning curve out of it and say, Luke, you could do it better this way. Luke, you could be doing this. Luke, why don't you do that? And I'll learn from you guys too. So I think it's a two-way street. Okay. So first property on the list, and I am going to dance some screens around here accordingly. Okay. So first property on the list, I'm going to put up a new screen here in a sec. So this first property, it's and so I started naming these things because I don't know what to call them. In the past, I'm always using like APN, county, state, APN to keep track of vacant land. I'm using the same database for that. So now I'm doing county, state, APN, the city, and the brand name of the restaurant, or who used to be in that restaurant. And the idea there is I could search by the city, and I could see the other deals that are going on that we're working on that city, or comps or history or whatever as this goes over time. And by brand, I could go Burger King, for example. I can see all the Burger King deals at any given time, right? I can comp all the ones, go haggle all the Burger Kings and see what kind of prices and terms and the market and everything. So I have a good basis of where I'm coming from when I buy a Burger King, or when I buy a Wendy's, or when I buy a whatever it might be. Because how else are you supposed to do it? I don't know how these guys do it. But that's what makes sense to me. So, okay, so this first one on the list is an IHOP, International House of Pancakes. And so I, let's see, I like to use Crexy. So I'm going to throw up a screen here that is not ready just yet, but you're going to see it anyway. And I'm going to drag a Crexy box over here, and this thing's going to load. And yeah, we've got an offering memorandum in my database. We got it on Crexy too. Holy cow, this is a $20 million one. This isn't in my wheelhouse. But we'll just go through some basics of this stuff. So I've got this Crexy in the background. Crexy is a cool website, guys. If you don't use Crexy, it's a commercial real estate exchange, and the subscription is not very much money. You don't have, it's free. You can go in there and look at it for free, but with a subscription, you get a little bit more access to stuff. So this thing was built in 1955, and let's see, there's so many screens I can't figure out which one it is. I've got like the live screen that's delayed 10 seconds from the current screen, and and then I've got the screen that's coming up next. So yeah, it says over here, but it kind of falls off the screen. It was built in 1955. It says the cap rate 5.36%. Price per square foot $2,500 NOI 1,071,000. I think this is more than a single IHOP. This is like there's got to be something else in there. That's a lot of rent for a pancake house. It's probably this whole building or something. Um, if that's just one shop, I'm really surprised. Okay, they were asking 22. They've lowered the price. Net operating income, $1 million. Okay, maybe I don't know my bases and stuff, but this International House of Pancakes is paying $1 million in rent a year. Sounds crazy to me, but where is this thing? It's in Long Beach, California. Maybe they are paying that much. Okay, to me, this is a fully cooked one, and the price is way out of my wheelhouse. They want a 5.36% kind of cap rate. Like you could go to local credit union and get those kinds of yields. I guess you can't leverage against the CD you get at a credit union. Maybe you could figure out how to leverage below 5.36% on a IHOP. I don't know. So I'm going to kill this one. This isn't the kind of thing that I want to be focusing in on. I'm just going to put it as rejected in my database, and it's going to fall off the screen. I make little notes to myself, and on this one, my note is fully cooked. I call it fully cooked because it's fully cooked. I don't know how else to call it. It's all polished and fixed up and rented out. Like, what more is there to do to increase the value in this? I'm sure there's ways, but I'm not smart enough to see that. I want it really easy. I'm new. I want it really, really easy here. And I just want to keep it simple, right? Telkin Media says, hello, Telkin Media. Thanks for coming on my live feed. Feel free to ask questions. So I've got another property, next one that's coming up here. Let's see what this is. This one's in Missouri. And we're going to pull this one up. Just going to do another Crexy drop on the screen here. And we'll go deeper into some of these, but I think we're going to skip through a lot of this. This just looks like mom and pop brand stuff. 88,900 square feet. I mean, it looks vacant. They're not talking about income and all that. $2.3 million for this. I think I've talked to this broker about other properties in the past. This is just too much money. I mean, it doesn't even look like there's people around here. I just want a simple one. Okay, 1 mile population, 10,000. Maybe it's more people than I was thinking. 75,000 median income, 32,000 people, 3 miles. Income starts dropping off a little bit. 62,000. This is too much money for just too mom and pop of a building. I like the brand name stuff that's easier for me to run statistics off of. And yeah. I'm just making a little note for myself. We're going to go on to the next one. Okay. So hopefully you guys got the patience to go through like 150 of these. That's how you do statistics, right? Let's see. So we got next one, Lake County, Indiana. Okay. Oh, I put the wrong one on the screen. I want it on this screen. Let me pull it up like this. You guys are seeing my database. It's really boring to look at. It's not about the looks, it's about the data. This is another mom and pop kind of building. 32 days on market. Look at that, $290,000. That's a better price. Um, got an apartment being leased for $800. Another one for $1,000. This is, I mean, $1,800 a month. You already got some rent, and you get 29. You know, somebody will like this one. This isn't for me. This is too much mom and pop. 3,700 square foot. I want a brand name thing that I can run statistics off of and compare and contrast, slice and dice. This is a one-off. I don't know what to do with it, or this is for like the local guy. I'm gonna skip this one. Okay, so next one, Asheville. This sounds mom and pop-ish. Maybe I should have prepared some of these ahead of time to like start out with more to talk about, but this is kind of what I've been doing. So we're in Asheville, North Carolina. It's been on the market 156 days. Iris Theater. $3 million for this thing. This is like, looks like I happen in place, but this is too mom and pop for me. I'm gonna skip this one. I don't know these names. See if this is working. Okay, next up. We'll get a good one, then we'll do some more deep diving. I think it'll be more entertaining as we go deeper into some of these. How do we get this one again? This one's in there twice. Okay, we're down to 151. Victor says, good to see you doing a live, Luke. Yeah, no, it's fun. I used to do so many more lives, then the kids started. It's harder with kids, right? I love them to death, but it's harder to make stuff like this. Glendale, Arizona. Okay, Bushfire Tacos and Tapas. I don't know this one. Do you guys know this one? Talked about a bunch of people in the area. 5.3% cap rate. This sounds like a 15-year lease term. This sounds like fully cooked. 1.87 million price. $100,000 a year starting out, going up from there. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call this one fully cooked. This is what we want to make. We want to make shops like this that are fully cooked, that are rented out, that are at really low cap rates, fancy looking, good pictures. I mean, the pictures could always be better. But, we want to take something that's empty, ugly, weird off and put a brand name in there that can, make it pop. Go sell it to somebody who believes in that brand name and pays for it, is willing to pay for it, has a much lower cost of capital than I do to sit on it and collect the rent for the rest of forever. That's the idea. That's what we want to make. So how do we get there? That's part of what we're hunting for. We're hunting for vacant ones that we could fix up. And I'm looking for ones that I can do statistics off of. I can say who goes there based off the statistics, and then we can go and chase those people down that go there and tell them how great of a property this is for them and how much they can pay in rent for it because of the market that's there and how much they usually do in sales. The whole statistical approach of that to get them in there and going for it and make it happen. And so that's what I want to do. And so we're looking for the foundation. We need a property that we can do that on. I want to take it full circle if I can. If I can keep your guys' interest over time, it'd be a series over time that we can make one of these deals happen. Let's see what this one is. This is a Bob Evans, or was a Bob Evans. Okay, so it is a Bob Evans. So the 5.75 cap. This was rents going up 2% a year. At least a whole bunch of options left on the thing. It's 20 years. Like we don't have any competitive advantages here. At least I don't. Maybe you guys do. Stream saying it went offline, but then it came back online. So I don't know what's happened, if it's go up and down for you guys. But Victor is saying, would you say the acquisition rate of buying land zoned commercial is the same as buying 100 plus acre parcels in hot areas? I've been sending offers at 75% on commercial land and nothing has hit yet. 75% on commercial land and nothing has hit? Man, that's a bad rate. I get a lot of stuff that comes back on commercial land. I'm trying to hit commercial buildings. Buildings that go faster than the land. It's hard to use the land in this market. So let's see. Maybe you guys could throw a comment in there if the stream is back online. It says I'm getting some errors, but some says it's good, some says it's not. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so this Bob Evans looks fully cooked. So I've got the Bob Evans on my database pulled up, and my response went mute. I'm getting back to excellent quality again. So hopefully a little delay, it'll catch back up here in a bit. Okay, so Victor was asking about response rates on large chunks of land versus commercial properties, and he's been sending out commercial property offers. I think it depends on where you're trying to send these properties out. If you're trying to send them out in like Dallas, Fort Worth, Tri-Cities, Texas Triangle or something, or Miami area, or Los Angeles, or something like that, it's probably really poor response rates of getting somebody to sell the land to you just because you send them a letter. You're probably going to need to be on the phone. You're going to be knocking on their door, be hitting them over the head with a suitcase full of cash or something. I mean, you just got to chase them around and wake them up and check them out of the old age home and get them to go to the notary or something. Whatever you can do. You get creative in those hot markets, but in some of the other markets, there's a lot more opportunities. And some are like, good luck selling it or doing anything, and some are so hot that you can't touch the stuff. So I'm sure you could find a place somewhere in between that's healthier and easier for you to work and pull off deals. It's a sliding scale across the country in different parts of the country. Okay, so I'm going to kill off this one. I've been sent, so Victor says he's been sending to commercial land in South Carolina. Yeah. We should pull up South Carolina. Victor, I'm going to give you an example here. Let's do, so I'm on Crexy. Let's do the whole state of South Carolina. Let's look at retail, because I want to talk about retail, so I'm being selfish here. Let's do retail QSRs, quick service restaurant, what this video is about. There's like next to nothing that comes up in South Carolina. I haven't done this in a week or two, so let's see what comes up. There's a brand new Habit Burger. This looks new to me. Yeah, newly constructed. There's a Denny's 6.5 cap. There's a Starbucks 5.4 cap. Chipotle 6 cap. This looks new. Chick-fil-A, this looks brand new, 4 cap. Really expensive stuff, right? Little Caesars, #1 site, Charleston. So there's a Little Caesars drive-through, $599,000. That sounds cheap, but they're asking for like a 6 cap. Here's an old ugly. Lancaster, South Carolina. I talked to these guys. Like maybe this one's just really old and ugly. Maybe we could fix this up, make it look like a new one, right? I don't think they do. Oh, there is pricing on here. I think they've got 3 of them in this portfolio. And then there's Arby's. This looks brand new. Just Sonic. York City, South Carolina. What is this one? I usually know all these ones, but I haven't seen this one. How long has it been on the market? 171 days? No, I've talked to Percy a couple times. No price. It's an old Popeyes. The street goes from like one lane going in either direction to expands out right in front of this thing. There's a KFC and AutoZone. I just don't think there's much going on in this area for like high traffic retail. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Okay, so let's use this as an example. I'll go off track here. Victor says, I've been watching your past interviews on Land Academy and on your channel. Very great information. Thanks, Victor. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following. I'm just making a fool of myself over here and, learning along the way. Okay, so I've got my example of what I was trying to say is there's hardly anything for sale in South Carolina, especially as you get around the Columbia market. It's a very tight market. It's very well shopped. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to get deals in South Carolina. Not impossible, but just hard. So what I'm trying to do here, if I can figure it out, 604 Liberty Street, York. As I'm trying to pull it up in this other software. So this is Placer.ai. And I probably overpaid for this stuff, but it's fun. It gives you all kinds of information about local markets. And so if you zoom in on this thing, so this property we've got here, let's switch it over to this property. If I can get the Popeyes. Oh, give me the Popeyes. Okay. So it seems like it probably closed in 2021. Before it closed, you can see what kind of traffic they were doing. doing awful. Let's go a little bit further back before they close. Try 2017, 2018 kind of timeline. See if they got any traffic back then. Well, it's not working back then. I don't know. This one doesn't. Maybe we should be looking at the neighbors. They might have been closed for a while, or it's not working. Okay, so we can zoom in. We can see the traffic. So this is like real-time cell phone traffic, people driving around. This is 14,000 cars a day going by. That's pretty good. So we got the retail corridor. We're kind of at the end of the corridor, and the stuff goes up this way. So if we drop out of here, let's go back to that screen we were looking at with the neighbors. So KFC over here, this is kind of a crappy KFC. I gotta watch what I say. This is let's be politically correct. This is a lower trafficked KFC if you work there or own it or something. Well, 27 percentile. It's kind of in the pile. It's not even that low. I thought it was kind of low, but 27 percentile, you're almost in the bottom corridor. Maybe you're paying rent, but you're probably not bragging to your wife about how much you're bringing home from all the time you spend there working on that thing. Maybe you got really low rent. There's multiple factors. What makes a profitable one? Rite Aid, poor Rite Aid, didn't make it. 2018, they didn't make it a long time ago. Dollar General didn't make it. What kind of market does Dollar General not make it? Pizza Hut. Is that Pizza Hut didn't make it? No, they're still going. Taco Bell. Taco Bell is doing okay. 5,300. Then we got Zaxby's a little bit further down. So I think one of the problems of this location is it's out at the end of the retail corridor. We got the bigger roads off to the east, and traffic drops off over here more. You really got to have something fancy. Well, even Taco Bell's a 25%er. What was I saying before? Like when you get some numbers on some of these, they tend to come in like those kinds of numbers across the market. Not every single one of them. There's always exceptions and stuff, but it kind of gives you a look and feel of how much your shop's going to sell in the area if you kind of start looking at these. Okay. York County, so Victor's saying York County is very popular. A lot of subdivisions have been developed in the past 2 years. That's awesome. And it looked like that was happening in the satellite view. You could see like new buildings going in. Lots of South Carolina's been growing. 43 percentile on the Zaxby's. Zaxby's doing okay, but I mean, you want one of these really top awesome ones here to go build a bunch more, right? So the neighborhood's growing. You could probably get more of them in here. And they all rent at some price. You just got to negotiate the right price, right? So Wendy's is doing pretty well. Wendy's is up more in the middle of it. So it's all relative. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just all relative. You just got to price accordingly. I learned that. I mean, buy land in the middle of nowhere for like next to nothing price. Buy land right up front and center for a little bit less than the other stuff. You can still make more money doing that than the land in the middle of nowhere at 2 cents on the dollar versus 90 cents on the dollar. It's different kinds of trades. So this one, Wendy's is doing pretty well. 79% Wendy's. Wendy's is getting in the top 25%. Wendy's works and lots of the others don't. McDonald's probably doing pretty well. Oh, McDonald's, 17,000. So McDonald's is ruling this market with traffic. I think we were looking at that. Yeah, McDonald's is the best over here. Wendy's is second best of the food. Then Bojangles, Burger King. Burger King's 5,700. It's probably pretty good Burger King. Okay, so I'm not like totally snowballing this area. This might be a fun one. We've got Lowe's over here, 42,000. It's pretty good Lowe's. Where'd the Walmart go? Is this the Walmart? There's got to be a Walmart on here. 107,000. This is a mediocre Walmart. I'll pull up a ranking on that. Maybe middle of the pile, lower to middle, maybe 30 to 40. Let's see what it says. See if I know my numbers. 14, I was way off. This is a crappy Walmart, or a bad Walmart, a low trafficked Walmart. Okay, so let me get back to that one. To me, this looks like a fun shop, and it's probably in my databases somewhere. But while I'm on the live feed like this, when I run across these and I'm like, oh, we should run scores and run more information and stuff, I got my helpers in Philippines start running data on it. So I'm just taking a picture of this thing on the screen and I'm sending it to the Philippines. Philippines will put it in a database, and maybe in a future show we'll do it. Or if it's already in the database, it's already researched, and it'll bounce and we won't do it. So I'm just going to do that, and we're going to skip on to the next one. Frenchie's saying, are you not doing free land anymore? I love giving away land. I gave away, I think it was over 150 properties, 175 maybe, but over 150 properties doing live shows like this in the past years ago. And it was so much fun. I'd ask questions, people answer questions, or first one or seventh one or something to answer the question, get some land, and I would deed it over to them, and that'd be great. And it was going really well until sometimes the internet would be like blah, blah, blah. Different people would have different points of counting on when the comments came through, and I was trying to do like who's first or who's third or something. And so the comments weren't coming, and I ended up giving away multiple properties because I didn't know how to solve that. And then I had one guy in particular that I got to careful how much I say. Got a piece of land. He won a piece of land, and I deeded it to him and everything. And he moved to the land, and the family got in touch with me and said this was the first time he's ever left home before, and he's a grown adult. I'm like, well, he's a grown adult. Like, it's about time he leaves home. But I didn't realize and they made a big point of if he would have had to sign for it or pay for it or fill out paperwork or much of anything to get the land other than just telling me his like name and address, he wouldn't have been able to do that. And so they thought it was irresponsible of me giving him the property which gave him the motivation fuel to go out and get himself in trouble on this piece of land without eating or drinking or sunscreen or anything. And ended up in the hospital, and that was very there was a lot of threats that were thrown my way because of that. And so I stopped giving away land, and so maybe I don't even know if I could write disclosures to get past that, right? So we're going to put other people in between on some of these properties, like brokers and realtors and title companies that ask for paperwork. You got to fill stuff out and make sure there's a level of competence there to do transactions to keep me out of trouble, right? So no, I'm not giving land away like that anymore. I'm giving away information and knowledge that I think is worth more than any of those properties or all those properties combined that I gave away. And Frenchie says, I remember when you started, it was a lot of fun. Yes, a lot of fun. It's always the one that ruins it for everybody. Yeah, that's how it goes, right? It's how you learn. It's part of the learning curve. We make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. Oh boy, don't want to go down that path. Okay, so let's look up the next property. So this one I got on the screen, I'm going to try to find out more information. If you guys look up more information on this thing, great. He doesn't even have a price on there. Let's look at what else this guy has. So we'll pull up the broker. Retail specialist, 3 million sold. He's got a beef jerky enterprise experience. He's got some land. He's got, is that an oil change place? What is that? Former CVS. He's got some listings. Got some more land, I think. Some more properties. I might have talked to him about land in the past. I'm not sure what properties I've talked to him. Oh, these are for lease. Then he's got properties for sale. Guys who work in South Carolina. He's got some North Carolina too. Oh, this looks like an old Burger King or Hardee's or fast food of some kind too, maybe. I might be wrong. Oh, here's another one. Savannah, John's Island. Looks like another Burger King or Hardee's. He might have a couple of them in there. Maybe I should call him up and work on him again. Okay, for now I'm gonna try to stick to my point and go down the list. Victor says, what has your experience been in the Northeast? Yeah, I mean, on vacant land, on QSRs, on, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I can brag about one I just did. I like telling stories, the ones that are done. And so we got let's see if I can get these numbers right. 120? I think it was $120,000 mobile home structure with foundation in New Hampshire. And I was sending letters to buy land, like, hey, I want to buy your land. Here's how much money I want. And it was commercial vacant land. And so I think Victor was saying, you don't get any responses. This was commercial vacant land. And this was 2 years ago or something. And the guy got back to me, and I think it was 8 acres, if I remember right. And he's like, no, I won't sell you that, but I'll sell you the house across the street from it. I live there. I'm like, well, geez, how's that going to work out? And he says, I'd really like to sell it, and then I'd like to go build a new house on the commercial land across the street. I'm a logger, and I can go make it happen. I'll build it. I'll pull it off and everything. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So I made some kind of offer. No, I didn't make an offer. He said, I just want to get all the debts paid plus $5,000. Like, okay. I had no idea what the debts are. I'm like, sure, let's do that. And I started looking it up, researching it. Got a realtor to go over there, broker guy from Massachusetts, from another deal for some other commercial land we got in Massachusetts we had sold. He just sold the land. And it's like, here's another one. Do you do houses too? It's like, sure. So he drove to New Hampshire. I guess his dad or whatever, his family lived over there. And so he started looking at this house. And he says, I can sell this. I can sell it for, I'm going to screw up the numbers, $350 or something like that, when we can buy it for $120 or $125. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like enough room for error. I'm sure something will go wrong. And, we chisel away this problem, that problem. We ended up selling it for $250 or $275 or something like that. And some of the companies were like, this is a mobile home. And others are like, no, it's not, because it's been hooked to the foundation. And what kind of finance can the buyers use? We bounced through a couple buyers before someone had the right kind of financing to pull it off. And so commercial land mailer in New Hampshire turned into a mobile home with a commercial land broker from Massachusetts that came over and did the deal for us. I'm missing some numbers in there, but big widespread, lots of room for error, beautiful transaction off of a mailer in the Northeast. Okay. That's what Victor was asking. So let me get back to the next property. So the next property is another Bob Evans. I guess when it rains a brand, it rains, right? How many Bob Evans are on the market? Let's see what this one is. This is the same one. Oh, I got to update my screen. Okay, let's update the screen. We're down to 149 properties because I keep talking and going down rabbit holes, but we're going to try to chisel away at this. So we got another IHOP. Let's see if this one is. I'll pull this one up on the screen. This is in Bentonville, Arkansas. So if you guys are researching on your screen and everything, Bentonville, Arkansas, IHOP. You know what I can do? I'm gonna try to stick them in the comments as we're going. You guys can go look at it, make fun of it with me. Kind of like Science Theater 3000, or what was it called? All the sci-fi movies where they would sit in the audience and make fun of them. It's kind of filmed from behind. So So Benton, Arkansas, $3.6 million for this IHOP. Boy, the rent is a lot lower here. So Long Beach, we just looked at an IHOP in Long Beach and it was $1 million plus rent. This one, $239,000 rent. If I could, 200, almost $250,000 in rent for a 5,000 square foot building. To me, that sounds like a lot. So they've got the numbers up there. Well, maybe it falls off the screen. 6.5%. 6.5 cap. I gotta figure out how to get the screen so it shows the end of it right. Maybe I'll do that someday if I remember. This one's fully cooked, so I'm gonna call this fully cooked. It's all polished up. This is inspiration fuel. We want to make one of these someday. I want to find something more like that one that we looked at in South Carolina when I was gonna show Victor that there's nothing on the market in South Carolina. And then there's one, right? Okay, so next up we have Cedar Rapids Hardee's. This is Cedar Rapids, which Cedar Rapids? Iowa, maybe? Yeah, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Okay, I'm going to throw it in the comments in case you guys want to look at it. Okay, so there's lots of Hardee's on the market. Hardee's is owned by the same companies as Carl's Jr. I'm in the West Coast, so I'm used to Carl's Jr. You go to the East Coast or the South or something, you get Hardee's. A lot of them are 3,800 square feet or something like that. This one's 3,470. This one looks older. This is 1984. So this is an older era Hardee's. Oh, the price on it is $625. This is Tiffany Williams. I've talked to her before. I don't know if it was about this Hardee's or not, but I remember talking to her. Description on this thing is prime restaurant building on the corner lot off of blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Iowa. I bet you we could find a new tenant for this one. Let's see what we can figure out here. Let's do some due diligence. Let's look at some pictures. I'm pretty sure this is vacant because they're not talking about rent or anything. Let's see if they got a flyer. Oh, they got the generic one. The Crexy made it one. Cedar Rapids. Look at that population. It says population. Doesn't even say what the radius of the population is. Don't know how to use that. So let's look at what we got down here. So, 21 miles. 23,000 in 1 mile. That's pretty cool. 100,000 in 3 miles. We got all kinds of people going off here, guys. 625,000, 170,000 people in 5 miles. We got a lot of people we could sell stuff to. Imagine putting a restaurant in here and getting it onto Uber Eats and DoorDash and all those things and serving up to 100,000, 170,000 people. They're going to sell something off of that. Let's look at the street and see if they sell something off of people driving by. Okay, so I'm going to jump into Placer. Good old Placer. Okay, so why isn't this working? Come on. Oh, I clicked on Goodwill. I don't want Goodwill. Goodwill pays good rent, but I want the one that's here. Hardee's, I saw it. Oh. Okay, Hardee's, we got the little, just a corner. I don't see any other names over here. This Hardee's is floating off into space. This isn't on the retail corridor. Why'd they build over here? This is weird. This is a weird location. The cinemas went out of business. There's nothing happening. Let me. Save a lot, 6,000 customers. There's nothing happening around here. How did this one rank so high in my QSR score? Must have measured like the greater metropolis. The score went too far out because there's no retail corridor to base it off of. Yeah, you go way out here and then something starts to happen. You got a Walmart way over here that's like 163,000. But this Hardee's just floating in space. They got kind of a weird location. Let's see what the traffic is on this thing. $4,600 on one side, 9,000, almost 9,000-ish on the other side. Mainly afternoon traffic going here. On our side of the street. Let's see if we can get it. It's morning traffic on the main street. Let's get rid of that. So I'm interested in this one, guys. Like it's, they're not asking for the moon price. It's in a weirdish location, but there's a ton of people around the area. Oh, this is the fake flyer. I didn't look at their income. I was looking at their numbers of people. 63,000 in 1 mile. Household income, 7, maybe my head's in the way. It's right here. Population's growing really nice. In the 3 mile. And the 1 mile, kind of flat in the 5 mile. So the area is growing. In the 5 mile income, 77,000. Growing population, solid income, asking 625. I'd like to pick up the phone and start calling this one. I've left messages in the past. This is like, I'm looking at my notes on this thing. It keeps bouncing around in my database. I keep leaving voicemail and I don't ever hear back. That's why it's familiar. How long's it been on here? 380 days. I'm wondering if it's really for sale or if this is just a bad listing. Because it kind of looks like to me that the offering was just computer generated. This might not even be for sale anymore. Let's see if we can find it more listed in some other places. So LoopNet, they still have it for sale? I think LoopNet still has it for sale. They have different pictures. Not really. Remax, pending. It says pending on Remax. Same pictures. What time is it in Iowa? Should I call her 7 o'clock Sunday night? I'm not going to call her. I should call her, but I'm not going to. Oh, this one says pending too. Maybe that's why she doesn't call me back. Okay, let's skip to the next one. So I'm changing it in my database. I'm assigning it to Eric, if you're watching, Eric, to run logistics on this one and see if you get more information. Make sure it's pending, it hasn't bounced back, and try again. And yeah, we just keep trying it. Because lots of times these things go pending and they try to find a tenant, right? They're going to try to find somebody that goes in the building, but they don't find anybody that goes in the building, and then they cancel and then it goes back on the market. We want to be first ones in line there if it does to go after it again, because we can go Land Academy. One of the guys was talking about Land Academy. We can go Land Academy style on this. We can go systematic from, in the county records, there's all kinds of properties, who owns them, public information, and that kind of data. And so my history and a lot of the old videos we talked about or made was about making offers. Offer, systematic fashion to everybody in the marketplace, and seeing who comes back with, accepts a stupid low price to buy that thing and go resell it, right? So in this case, we can use that systematic approach to find a tenant. We can look at who goes here, who goes in this building, and why. And then we can study that and we can go after each one of those tenants. So let me I'll do an example. So we've got, we'll run a void analysis on this particular building. It's loading, it's coming. So void analysis measures the size of the building, the location of the building, who's there. We can play with some of the settings to say, okay, there's, we don't want to put another Hardee's in here probably because Hardee's didn't make it, but maybe we want to put a chicken salad chick because they're growing like crazy and they don't even need a kitchen. They just mix, take stuff out of a bag and put it in a box and hand it to people, right? There's lots of ways. So this was, what did I say, 3,600 square feet or 3,500 square feet, or what was it? It's 3,470. Let's call it 3,500 square feet. Let's do 32 to 3,800 square feet. Let's do companies that have over 200 chains just for this idea. Let's do ones that are operating in the state of Iowa. Let's do ones that are, let's play with the cannibalization so we don't take out more than, okay, I kind of slid it to, 0%. Let's do, 10, 12% cannibalization. Okay, so we'll let that fly, and then let's get it down to like drive-through kinds of things. We'll do restaurants and QSRs and breakfast. We could put breakfast in there, right? If I can spell, stick breakfast shops in there. Okay, so over 200 locations. Why? Because the more locations, generally the better credit rating they have, the more people we can reach out to, the more statistics we can run. If they have 5 locations, that might work too. But if they probably don't have as good of a rating, they probably don't have as many different operators. It's probably just one operator if they have 5 locations. If they got 200 plus, they probably got a couple different operators. A couple different operators or developers for those operators means that we can make offers to more than one person. And we have a more statistical, better, higher, however you say it, a better chance at finding somebody that wants to develop for that brand name. One's operating in the state. That probably means that they're local, happening there. Maybe we don't do operating in the state. Maybe we do, because Iowa's kind of, let's see if we can do a radius, nearest location. Let's do like a, miles. Let's do like a 300 mile kind of deal. Well, we got coffee shops in there. Let's just do a 1 mile. Well, let's skip, it's doing 19. So, if there's a Starbucks up the street, put a Starbucks here, you can put a Starbucks in every corner, right? Okay, so we got it dialed in. McAllister's Deli comes up here at the top of the list, and it's looking at all kinds of different things. And Qdoba Mexican Grill, that'd be fun. So McAllister's Deli, they've been moving in. They took over is it a Burger King or might have been a Burger King in my town that McAllister's took over. But one of those kinds of shops. So theoretically, with these numbers, we could probably get a McAllister's in here. I don't know if they would like this particular location. They probably want more traffic than this particular location, but McAllister's likes to have population, 140,000. We got more population than the top 25% McAllister's delis. We can kick butt in that factor. We got a little bit lesser education here going on than the typical McAllister's. They go after a little higher end markets. You can look at all kinds of different variables. But basically what it's saying is McAllister's Deli is one that goes here. So we could look up all the locations of McAllister Deli within, a radius or the whole country or something. There's 532 in the U.S. in McAllister's Deli. Or we could pick up the phone and start calling them. That's fun too. You get yelled at, hung up on, and everything else. So it works too. You find tenants that way. Say, hey, hello. Are you looking for another location? I'd like to finance it for you. Let's open another location. Come on, I'll make it easy. And Qdoba Mexican Grill is another one. So Qdoba has 5 of them in the state. McAllister's has 5 of them in the state. Qdoba looks like they've been growing fast. They've been ripping, snorting, going for it. Okay, Qdoba 143, Hardee's 149. We got more people. We got the people, baby. Got the people. We don't have the education, but we got the people. And so the other thing I like, the Fazoli's, I don't know if they pay enough rent. A&W could go there. CC's, Donato's, not enough rent. I think the ones that are going to pay the most rent are right here at the top. Qdoba and McAllister's Deli. To me personally, they don't seem like Qdoba and McAllister's Deli material because the traffic it's not retail corridor. Those guys are usually retail corridor. But who knows? What do I know? You pitch it and see if it sticks. Okay, so let's look at the next property. I think that was a good one to use as an example because it's probably under contract and somebody else is probably working on it, try to find a tenant anyway. Let's find the next one. So, Red Robin. Bernalillo County, New Mexico. Oh, that's always fun. Should we tell land stories while we're going? I got old videos if you go back on this channel long enough about land in Bernalillo County, New Mexico. That's like, the neighbor lady was shooting. I shouldn't laugh. She was shooting at the people going out to look at the property. Oh man, talk about customer service I had to do on that one. Maybe the guy's watching. The guy that bought it, eventually he made YouTube shows about living in storage units, like storage complexes, and the strategy of getting in and out and water and electricity and not being seen or known that you're living in your storage unit. It's YouTube videos, great. It's like, no, I can buy the land that's has no real access in Bernalillo County, New Mexico, with a neighbor that shoots at you. I'll drag all the supplies in there. I'll build on the property at night when no one's noticing or watching. I mean, the guy was great. He's gonna make videos about it. I haven't seen his videos. If you know who I'm talking about, please circle back his videos. I'd love to see him if he made them about that property. So this one's $2.9 million, $176,000 NOI. This looks like a fully cooked one to me. So fully cooked. I'm killing this one off. Victor's saying, I remember the one where he sold the property that had a church on it and the legal owner broke into it, but he got arrested and spent the weekend in jail. Yeah, the guy, I mean, more power to him. I feel so sorry for him. You know, he had his dogs with him and I mean, broke in, opened, and it's his church. He bought it. Like I deeded it to him and everything. But he went into the church and the police came and arrested him, put him in jail for the whole weekend with his brother. And the dogs, they were like, they let him out of the truck and they were running around the street and they didn't know what to do with the dogs. And it took him forever to get the dogs back. And he was like worried to death about his dogs. I was worried about his dogs. Like, what the heck? The sheriff was calling me like all weekend saying, no, this is wrong. I'm like, no, you're wrong. This is his land. I deeded it to him. You're calling me because you think it's mine. It's his. He couldn't understand how the guy bought a church. And, yeah, I was trying to buy vacant land, and it turns out there's a church on it. Okay. So let's do the next one. So the Bernalillo County is fully cooked. Go to the next property. The next one's Chipotle, Hagerstown, Chipotle. So this is Pennsylvania, I think. Every time I move one of these blocks around, the screen goes crazy with a whole bunch of other screens that are open. Next time I do this, I'm going to have to... Oh, did I kill it? Next time I do this, I'm going to have to close some screens. Okay. Oh, Maryland. Okay, Hagerstown, Maryland. Put a link in the chat so we're following along. I'll throw the address in there too. Okay, so this one, unpriced, doesn't have a price. This guy's got a license in Illinois. He's selling property in Maryland, so he's probably got, I don't know. This other one's in Pennsylvania. I don't know how they're doing business in Maryland, but triple net. Triple net what? Is it for lease? Is it, did you say how much? Price? Anything? Rent. 120,000. So it sounds like it's rented out. It looks newer. I'm going to skip this one. I'm figuring it's fully cooked. Just doesn't seem to be presented very well, so it gets the information out. It's got numbers in here if you go digging. I'll just put an asking price on there, cap rate or price or something. I don't like it when they don't price them. He's charging a big fat commission. Why can't you fill out the form and put information out there for people? Okay, next one. Victor saying, did you wind down sending mail for the holidays? Yeah, Victor, I did. This is a weird time of year to send mail, to do deals, for lots of things. Sales are usually pretty hard to sell between Thanksgiving. I mean, basically now to New Year's are really hard to do. I think the auctions are hard to run. People aren't doing their due diligence this time of year. It's a weird time of the year to go do business. When I was in the brokerage house in a previous career, this was a hard time to sell stocks, to trade stocks, to do financings, to do lots of stuff. I mean, people would try to do some tax planning or close up by the end of the year of things, but for the most part, volumes would drop off in lots of fronts. Good time to go traveling. Usually every year we go somewhere tropical for Christmas, New Year's, or the whole month of December. You just skip that time of year, right? But my wife's she went back to school, so she's doing classes this year. She can't really be away for her, so we're going to be in town. So I want to make videos, and this is what I want to do. So there's the idea, right? Okay, so the next one that's coming up here. How about you, Victor? Did you wind down sending mail for the holidays? This is Denver, Colorado. 4.4 years left on the term. For sale by owner. Turnkey boba tea business for sale. I think this is a business sale. I don't think you get the real estate. If you want to go take over a boba tea shop in Denver, Colorado, you can pay $150,000 to pick up the rest of their lease. I don't think that one should be on Crexy. It should be real estate only. That one should be on like Biz Buy Sell or something, a different website that does business trades. If there was a way to flag it or something, I would. I don't think you can. Or I've looked if there is. If you guys know how to flag stuff on Crexy that shouldn't be on there, that'd be cool. Let me know. Okay, so what's this next one? This next one is former Hardee's. Okay, we're getting down to another Hardee's. Maybe I should just type in Hardee's and we just work on Hardee's all day. Maybe that'll make more sense. Victor says, the last mailer went out the first week of this month, but I'm starting to regret sending it. I should have waited. What amount of mailers did you get to where you realized you had to bring a VA on board? Boy, that's a good question. I don't know. Number of mailers before I start hiring help? I don't know how to answer that. Sorry, I don't know. I think it's not just about the number of mailers, it's about the quality of the mailers. I mean, you could do a bunch of Desert Squares, middle of nowhere junk stuff and still not really be able to afford to hire somebody, but you'd be busy as can be. Or you could do kinds of mailers I'm talking about on like finding a tenant for this building that's in the background. You'd send 100 mailers or 500 mailers or something and take one phone call and do a deal. The money on it's probably worth more than 5 years of sending the Desert Square mailers, and you don't need anybody. Like, you don't need to hire anybody to do that. You don't even need to hire an agent or somebody that charges commissions. Like, you don't need to. There's so many different ways to slice and dice this, and I wish I knew more about that when I started. I would have started very different, but I don't know how I would have figured that out without starting with Desert Squares. So I'm grateful that I did. Okay, so this one is in Casper, Wyoming. And let's take a look at this thing. Victor's asking some more questions. I'm at 8,000 to 10,000 a month and still doable, but I think I'm going to try to send out 15,000 a month, but it's hard because I send to somewhat hot markets, but pricing takes a week per county. Why does pricing take a week per county? What are you doing for pricing? You're trying to price, these are commercial vacant land, or these are residential vacant land, or what are you doing that takes so long in pricing? Are you looking up each one? You're not coming up with like formulas or standards or bases of some kind to make your offers off of? Maybe I don't get it. Why does it take so long to do the pricing? Okay, so I got this one in the background. Former Hardee's restaurant, high traffic location, drive-through owner would prefer to lease at $9,950 a month. Ooh, that sounds like a lot. What is that? That's like 120,000, right? 9,950 times 12. 119.4, almost $120,000. It's built in 2003. Geez, $2.5 million. Like, what the heck? Okay, so let's do some math on this, and I'll try to explain why I think this is what the heck. Maybe I can make this bigger. I make a big, I don't know. Doesn't really help. Okay, so 9,950. That's the rent he wants times 12. And I'm guessing he's asking triple net. Triple net is the tenant pays for everything and still pays you rent. I mean, they pay the taxes, they pay the insurance, they pay the maintenance, they pay everything, all the utilities, the landscaping, all of it. So let's say you got a national-ish kind of brand in today's market that's not Chick-fil-A or one of these super top primos. I'm going to guess like a 0.075 kind of cap you could sell stuff at. Maybe 8 cap might make more sense to do this math at. But you're talking about 1.5, almost $1.6 million you could sell this thing for if you had one of those tenants. So if you had one of those tenants that was willing to pay the $9,950 and you sell it at some basic kind of cap rate in today's market, you could maybe sell it for $1.6 million. And you could probably pay commissions on there and everything. And they're asking $2.5 million for this property. This is not a sale. This is not a for sale price. This is if you're silly and stupid, I'll take advantage of you price. This is awful. This is like your rural vacant land 2 cents on the dollar offer in reverse of trying to sell your property. It's been on the market for 23 days. I was going to guess it's been on there for a long time. They're trying to rent it more than sell it. So I'm marking it as price to lease, not sell. And so what they're saying by doing that is they're not leaving room for me to go find a tenant. They're not pricing this like they want me to buy the building, find a tenant, and then go sell it when it's rented out to somebody else. And it's just rude. So why do you even put it up for sale? Why not just put it up for lease? Like maybe you should have some price that's like 1.6 on there, 1.7 or something closer. Or maybe you can't do math and you come up with like a hair under 2 or something. But 2.5, come on. Okay, so I'm skipping that one. Let's go to the next one. I'm sure you could probably still make an offer and put it in front of them. Maybe they're silly on the ask, but I mean, it's only been on the market 23 days. Go offer them 500 grand and watch them just yell at me. Let's find something easier to work on. Okay, so this next one. So what that does to me when you overprice it like that is I just stop looking. Like, there you go. Shopping's done. Oh, I've seen this one before. Yeah, this one's fully cooked. This one is, I don't know why this one keeps coming up in the database. Okay, so this one is in Lake Tahoe. Nice looking shop, but I mean, the price is flying. It's not what I want to do. Okay, some more comments going by. So I was asking Victor what takes so long to do the pricing, because Victor is doing mailers for vacant land, and he talked earlier about doing mailers for vacant land for commercial vacant land, and I'm not sure if it's all commercial that he's doing or a mix. So here's what he's saying. Each county has a mix of rural, city, and subdivisions, and sometimes sending out to beach communities. I try to price per APN scheme, and the counties I mail have 7,000 to 9,000 mailable records. So he's going by APN scheme. If you guys don't know what APN scheme is, I've got old videos way back in years ago, videos on how to price by APN scheme. You can maybe look up, but it's different. The assessor APN assessor parcel number of each property is, there's a format to those. In some places it's in chronological order, other places it's in like Japanese order, some of them it's north south. But if you can figure out the order and where different pieces of the numbers of properties are, you can target that by sorting them and pricing accordingly. And then maybe you do like the size and the type and some different variables off of that location. He's using APN scheme as a location identifier instead of like GPS or county or state or city, or you could also use like census data and the different census areas, or zip codes. I like to use zip codes. If you can get zip code data, that might be not as accurate as census data, but easier than, you don't have to do as many of them as census data, but maybe easier than doing APN numbers. That's probably why he's doing it. He's saying all regular land. So he's going regular land. So I'm thinking regular land, he's talking about like a house goes here, kinds of regular residential land. It's probably what he's making offers on. I doubt he's making offers of commercial vacant land and house goes here land and neighborhood goes here land and industrial goes here land, like a whole bunch of it in the same mailer. It's too complicated. If he's doing all those different kinds together, maybe that's why it takes so long to figure out the pricing. But if you narrow it down to like one little piece of that, you just do the industrial, then just do the retail, high traffic retail, and then you just do like some commercial, or just do like where neighborhoods go, or just where apartments go. You just do a piece at a time. It'd be easier than mixing them all together. And some of these counties will sort them pretty well for you, and others don't. Others you gotta get like third-party databases that sort them better. Okay, so this next one is Hinds County, Mississippi, Jackson Freestanding Restaurant Bar. Surprised to get numbers out of Jackson. Commercial, industrial, multifamily gets separated. Yeah, so he's separating out the different kinds of properties and doing one or the other. Okay, this just looks too like mom and pop. I don't know this brand name, or I'm just gonna skip this one. Too mom and pop. It's hard to do statistics on these super unique things. I'm sure there's deals there to be done and everything. I'm just trying to keep it easy. Okay, I'm just sorting. Okay, down to 141. We're not going very fast. So this next one is what the heck? It's Flint, Michigan. Oh boy, this will be fun. This better be cheap. $9.90. $6,000 square foot restaurant. I have no idea what this name is. I don't want to go promote Flint, Michigan. I'm sorry. I don't have the heart. $1 million. Okay. Okay, next up's a Burger King in Ohio. So Burger King in Ohio, let's check this one out. Okay, 173 days on market. Burger King has been on the skids. They've been losing lots of locations. Steve Eltimer. I've talked to this broker before. He's had a couple nice listings along the way. I'm thinking of doing a little digression. So this, have you guys ever used Google Bard? I like using ChatGPT, and I've been trying different ones and stuff, trying to answer questions. ChatGPT is fun to like help me make spreadsheets and formulas and slicing and dicing and sorting stuff. And how do I make a formula for this? It'll do this, it'll do that, and it'll get pretty close. And I look at the results, say, oh, let's change this and that to get it better. I think Google Bard does that too. But the nice thing about Google Bard, it has data, it has more up-to-date information than the ChatGPT, at least the version I'm used to using. So you can do stuff like, what is the average unit sales of Burger King? Okay. So, and then Bard comes along and kicks out something, right? Should be just over 1 million. So I think this is 2020. In 2020, Burger King was ranked 6th in terms of average unit sales among quick service restaurants in the United States. It was 1.4. I've heard recently it's more like 1.1. See, here's a 2022 number. So 2022, they found a quote from QSR Magazine reported that Burger King was the 3rd most popular burger franchise in terms of average unit sales with the dollars, because they got so many locations, system-wide sales, but average unit sales, which I want to study average unit sales of 1.230. So 1,230,000. This was 2022, so that's more reasonable, right? And you're like, Luke, why do you care about the average unit sales? Well, average unit sales is a very big driver in these properties. I started getting some of these properties, and I started trying to rent them out. And the guys that I try to rent them out to get back to me and say, oh yeah, I'd love to rent that building, but I can't pay anywhere near as much as you're asking for rent. The only thing that I can pay is XYZ. So let's say if it was Little Caesars, for example. Let's say we tried to rent this building to Little Caesars. What was that? I probably didn't spell it right, but what is the average unit sales? Little Caesars. That's the beautiful thing about AI is like they say, Luke, you didn't spell it right, but we understand what you're saying. Kick it out, right? So the average unit sales for Little Caesars in 2022 is estimated to be $940,000. That's more than I thought it would be. Okay, so they gave me a little table, some different ones. Yeah, there you go. There's Marco's Pizza down there, 760. Let's use Marco's Pizza as the example. Okay, so let's say we got our Burger King here in the background. Let's say we bought this thing. Say, oh, this is a beautiful building. This is great. Let's buy this thing and let's do some mailers. Let's go mail. Let's say we study and we think Marco's Pizza goes here. We got a Papa John's across the street and a Little Caesars and a Pizza Hut and a Domino's and all those guys and everybody else is here, but there's no Marco's Pizza. Marco's Pizza, we would love for you to move in here. Why don't you move in? Come on, Marco's, do it. Yeah, the building's huge compared to what you usually use, but it's okay. We'll just rent it to you anyway. You don't have to use the whole thing. Like, how much can you pay? And so Marco's Pizza, the average unit sales $760,000. You go talk to them, and they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay as much as you think like the others could pay. So maybe we look at, let's pull up, see if we get some market examples. See if we can find some Marco's Pizzas that are for sale. Marco's Pizza. Here's one. I've seen this one before. This is one of the highest rent Marco's Pizzas, I think, on the marketplace. Yeah, $68,000. $68,000. That's like the top end of the rent. I mean, if you go look at a whole bunch of them, I don't think you're going to find any more than that. This looks like more of a normal one. They're asking $699,000 for this building. Where does it say? Come on. Where's the rent? My point is that it's low. It should say, if they're trying to sell the building, you should tell me how much the rent is. Oh, this is a vacant one. No, that's why they don't have any rent. Okay, so let's use this one. So if we research what's the average rent to sales in the pizza industry or the fast food industry or all these things, the banks start saying they won't loan and they won't do deals over certain numbers and they will below certain numbers. And so there's like rules of thumbs, right? So an easy one's kind of like 10%. So like 10% of the average unit sales of a Marco's Pizza, if we go back here to Bard, so that was $76,000. So 10% of the average unit sales is $76,000. So theoretically, you could probably get $76,000 out of a Marco's, but then they still got to pay for the roof and they got to pay for all this other stuff that's kind of the same thing as rent, right? So you start getting down to the maybe 60s like they were, and the highest one here on the market, $68,000. They started this thing in 2022, so this is one of the more recent highest ones. If you talk to the Marco's Pizzas, they don't say they'll ever pay that much. Usually 50, 60, 50, 40, $50,000, something like that in rent, depending on the building and location, all kinds of stuff. But they don't want to pay more than that because they don't have the sales to support it. And if they go to the bank and they try to ask for a loan, the bank says, you got too much rent for sales. Doesn't make sense. We're not going to loan to you. Or if they do, the ratios are going to be like way lower. It's harder to get the economics to make sense, right? So if you understand that concept, when you go back and you try to rent out one of these buildings, it's like, okay, who can rent this thing? And you start looking at different names. Who can go here? Who can pay the rent? Who can make it happen? It's a big piece of, if you kind of got an idea of who you can rent it to, who you can get in here, you got a better idea how much you can pay. The higher the price goes, the less people can pay the rent to get in there, depending on the local market. So if you've got a whole bunch of good sounding high rent paying names that can go there versus ones that don't have that, I mean, it's part of the pricing factor on this, right? So down a rabbit hole if you guys are following or understanding. I'll try to use more examples throughout these videos in the future of this concept. So let's look at this some more. So we got the flyer. There's a bunch of people here. Like, it was a 10 mile, 5 miles, 22,000. Maybe it's not as many people as I was thinking. Instead of 1, 3, 5, he's going 5, 7, 10. Income, median income, he's saying it's like $90,000 or something. Sounds like some good median income. There's some names in the area. So it's missing a price. It's missing... Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of information there. 2 curb cuts, hoods, walk in, Got an Arby's across the street. One lane going in either direction. I think this traffic's going to be low in small town. So let's look at the counts of people from Crexy. Kudos to Crexy for making it easy. You just put it in the listing. So 1 mile, this little town here, 11,900 people. The population's kind of flat, not going up or down-ish. Kind of down-ish, kind of up-ish, depending on what timeline you're looking at. Kind of down-ish more. 23,000 in 3 miles. So it's not thick with people. Like that previous Hardee's we were looking at in Iowa had a lot of people. And when we pulled up Who Goes Here, the names that were coming out at the top had a lot of people on the Who Goes Here. The ones that were willing, that could pay the most rent out of the Who Goes Here. So this one, it's kind of lower population. So we're going to get lesser names out of this thing that comes in the Who Goes Here. And there's no price. I mean, it's got to ask the guy a price. Let's play around with it a little bit. Let's look at, this would be a good example if it were business hours for me to get him on the phone. So I think I called the guy about one property and he's like, no, that one's under contract, but I got this other one. And he just keeps dealing these things. So good on him. He's moving these kinds of shops. There's some names here. Look at that. There's a lot more retail going on here than I thought. McDonald's isn't doing that great. Arby's isn't. Nobody's shooting the lights out here. It's your basic names. You got Starbucks, McDonald's, Arby's, Taco Bell. Here's a Dairy Queen down around the corner. None of them are doing awesome. They're doing basic kinds of traffic. The Rite Aid's still in business. Okay, I'm sure there's somebody that could rent this building and have a good time with it. But looking at the level of business, it is probably a mom and pop that it ends up with. Okay, so I'm going to circle back and I'm going to make a little bit of notes on this for myself and others that I work with. Okay, I'm just making some notes so I remember. Hit the guy on the phone, get more information, see if we can work out some kind of deal. So let's pull up the next one. Raleigh's. Okay, another hamburger shop. What I'd like to see is what the average unit sales at Raleigh's is. Come on, Google Bard. See if I spelled it right. Nice thing about Raleigh's is they'll use these like smaller size properties. Sometimes they'll have like double drive-through. They're much older fashioned double drive-through before Chick-fil-A and some of the modern ones are doing double drive-through and calling it like the new best thing ever. It was Checkers and Raleigh's would have a little tiny building and drive-through on both sides, just churn volume through there on like a third of an acre lot, maybe a half an acre. That'd be a big one for them. Such a small building, you hardly have to build any parking. They just make it all drive-through. No place to sit down, maybe a couple cement little things right in front of the window, but hardly anything to sit down. So average unit sales for Checkers and Rallies were estimated to be $1,030,000 in 2021. This means that the average Checkers and Rallies restaurant generated $1,030,000 in sales. Yeah, the two of them combined somewhere along the way. They have 800 locations in the United States. McDonald's is blowing them out of the water. Burger King, Wendy's. I don't know. Wendy's is, I think these numbers have really changed. Like Wendy's average unit sales, I think, is over $2 million. Burger King's been going down. Wendy's been going up. I don't know about Sonic. Let's do average. And, you know, we're talking about average unit sales. Like you could say, what's the average unit sales of the top 25% Wendy's? That'd be a totally different story. And if we go to find a location that looks like it should be a top 25% Wendy's, we can charge more rent. You know, you can pitch that case and sell them on, like, your sales here are going to be XYZ. It makes so much more sense for you to pay and get this location too. Yeah, so this in 2022, the average unit sales, so that number that they had on the previous table, average unit sales for Wendy's, I don't know, 1.7. That's like pre-COVID. COVID, the last couple of years, Wendy's has been kicking butt. Over $2 million, 2.19 million. When's the last time you guys went to Wendy's? You go look at Wendy's and it's like the burger's $12 and it's a fast food place. You're like, $12? Come on, what happened to 5, 4, 3 kinds of burgers? Okay, so, well, this is supposed to be over here. So we got, I was gonna pull up Rallies, but I pulled up the wrong screen. Let's close some of this old stuff down while it's loading. Okay, Bessemer, Alabama. Ooh, that's an ugly one. That's an old building. When was that built? 92. It looks older than that. Whatever. Is it vacant? $975,000 for Raleigh's. Part of a portfolio containing 9 properties. Ooh, 6 freestanding restaurants, 3 vacant lots. This particular site contains 2 lots, 1 for the building, 1 for the parking. Each property may be purchased individually. You're going to sell 1 person the parking and 1 person the building? Come on. Or all may be purchased. Oh, each in the portfolio maybe. Okay, there's a gap in there. All sites possess good visibility with high traffic counts. All are within major metropolitan areas. So is this price the list of them or this particular property? That's what I'm wondering. I think it's this particular property is asking $975. This sounds like a lot to me for an 886 square foot thing that maybe you could turn into a coffee shop, maybe. So numbers of people. I mean, they got a chunk of people there. 17,000 people within a mile. That's more than I was guessing. 56 in 3 miles. There's some people here. 112,000 in 5 miles. So let's look at that income. Income. Let's see, get it up over my shoulder here. Income. This number here is 27,000 income in 1 mile. Yikes. This is you don't leave your car here. Don't walk at dark. This income's too low. Income's so low, Raleigh's Burgers can't even make it. I'm not doing $27,000 income neighborhoods. I'm sorry, not doing it. I'm done with that. I don't like those conversations. I don't like paying them. I don't like the phone call somebody stole the copper out of the building. I'm going to skip that. Just keep it easy. Okay, we're down to 138. We started in the 150s. I don't know if you guys want me to be putting links to these properties in there along the way as I'm going, or addresses or something, or not. Just thought it might be a good reference if somebody's watching a recorded version later on someday. I'll stick a link in there. Oh, Sonic. Look at this. Old Sonic. Okay. 241 days. What do you do with an old Sonic? Pull out the sawzall and chop the goofy roof off? I don't know. Sonic relocated to a larger building across the street. Clutch Coffee planned development adjacent to this site. Seller would consider build to suit. They're thinking you just bulldoze it, start over. Unpriced. They sound like flexible sellers. I like the seller that's pigeonholed into the idea of collecting rent for the rest of forever on that property. When the rent check stops, they say, oh no, now what? Let's get a new tenant. And it's a lot harder to get a new tenant than they think. They put up a sign and nobody shows up. Like, now what do? I got to pay the taxes. I got to get insurance on it. I got to winterize it. I got to fix the roof. They left and I got to take care of it. Now, instead of money coming in, money's going out. And they're like, I want to get rid of it. And they give up and they want to get rid of it. And then we can buy it and we can find a new tenant and we can put somebody else in there doing our systematic approach we were just talking about, and get it all polished up, get it fully cooked like the other ones we're looking at, and sell it. Sell it to somebody who wants to collect the rent for the rest of forever. Look at that. So here's the property and they put coffee shop next door. Maybe they broke a piece off or they got them drawn up together. There's some people around here, but it's generally pretty low traffic population. Let's take a look at this thing. I think this one is going to be, they're already willing to offer the moon to whoever shows up, so we might be more competition than help. A bunch of names along here. So we have a Taco Bell, 5,000. That's not spectacular. There's the new Sonic. They're doing okay. There's a McDonald's. Where'd the McDonald's go? $8,400. Cookout's doing pretty well. Is that the McCout? That's Firestone. Firehouse Subs. There's a lot of closed up ones. Cookout's king of the pile over here. They're beating McDonald's. What is the average unit sales of Cookout? Wow. Cookout does not publicly disclose its average unit sales, but industry analysts estimate that it is around $2.3 million. This would make it one of the most successful fast food chains in the United States. That is a number to be reckoned with. Low prices, large menu, convenient locations, friendly service, fresh made to order food. Just classic, hit it on the classics. Okay, so we got our let's just ask for a price. Okay, let me get the next one. Wichita, Kansas. This is Buffalo Wild Wings. Okay, so Buffalo Wild Wings, Wichita, Kansas. It's not Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, it is Buffalo Wild Wings. 2.75. I'm just going to call this one fully cooked. Okay, so I think you guys get the idea. For you guys that are watching the recorded version, I want to do more videos like this because I like looking up these properties and figuring them out. There's a lot here. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot more to research, but I think we can boil them down to the best looking ones and start calling them up, start negotiating, start working on deals, start finding tenants, get them all leased up, get them back on the market for sale, and let them go. And if you guys are interested in that, or working with me on that, or joining in, or listening, watching, learning, all the above, let me know. I put a link in the comments that goes back to my website about signing up for funding these kinds of deals if you're ever interested in funding these kinds of deals. And I just think there can be some really nice spreads on these things. There's lots of ways to structure these deals to make money by finding tenants in a systematic way. I think it's a lot less mailers than trying to buy land at good, awesome, spectacular prices. We can offer spectacular terms on buying these properties on, buying them, but also to the tenants. We can offer like all kinds of financing and terms and things for the tenants to move into these buildings. And then once they're in there and it's rented out with good solid names, it's a lot easier to sell these things than it is to sell vacant land. And so I think it'll be a faster trade on the exit. It's going to be harder on the way in, probably not harder on the way in, but harder to find tenants. And then once you find the tenant using the systematic approaches that I like, then you go sell the thing pretty rapidly. And so that's the idea. That's the game plan. That's what I'd like to show. That's what I'd like to experience and be a part of with you guys. And feel free to chime in. Hit subscribe to see more of these. To see little notifications come up when I can make these videos. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you guys. Gonna